Hello and welcome to the first AEC TechTV show. I'm Aarni, Heiskanen, Construction Innovation Agent based in Helsinki, Finland.
And hello from London. I am Paul Wilkinson, a technology consultant, a writer, blogger and journalist based in the UK.
We have devised AEC TechTV as a magazine show covering technologies used in today's architecture, engineering and construction industries.
Coming up in today's show, Aarni will be talking about immersive virtual reality. I will be talking about a new report, Good Data for the Public Good. Karl Fitzpatrick will be talking about BIM and FM. Damon Hernandez describes running a virtual hackathon. Alexander Grass will be talking about his startup Bimspot. And Aarni will be giving us a walk through his office working space and the Finnish home of AEC TechTV. First, Aarni has been thinking about immersive virtual reality solutions this week.
Thank you, Paul. Indeed. Is immersive virtual reality collaboration making a breakthrough in AEC? The pandemic has accelerated the demand for remote collaboration solutions in the AEC industry. The use of virtual reality enhances communication between clients, users, designers, contractors, and manufacturers. And that leads to better results, less errors, better understanding of needs and opportunities, and hopefully innovative solutions. Apart from the obvious Zoom and Microsoft Teams meetings, construction project participants often have to communicate and collaborate on building information models. I imagine this will be soon true in property and facilities management as well. The obvious low-end solution is to have someone share a screen with a model viewer in a video conference. However, there are several more advanced options available that I believe will gain popularity. Spar3D.com reported on August the 26th that Insight VR launches an environment called Resolve for interacting with building models in VR with the $400 VR headset Oculus Quest. Resolve's custom engine can open BIM files with hundreds of millions of polygons with the wireless Oculus Quest and without a computer connection or video streams. It provides a collaborative virtual environment for teams to review and interact with building information models at full scale. This can decrease the number of expensive field errors and late-stage changes. You can invite project team members into a Resolve meeting, do speech-to-text annotations, inspect BIM properties, take measurements, and use issue tracking interaction with BIM 360. Attendees without a VR headset can follow along with the desktop companion app. Another company that supports Oculus Quest is The Wild. It allows collaboration with BIM models and also offers native 3D sketching tools. And the third company I want to mention here is VR Collab. Their remote meeting and collaboration app lets coordinate and collaborate on projects in real time across construction sites and offices. The app users can choose to use virtual reality with headsets or the non-virtual reality scenes on ordinary tools. But how about experiencing immersive virtual models without a headset? Igloo provides shared VR projection spaces, domes, cylinders, cubes, and custom builds. This allows teams to be physically in the same immersive environment. And Igloo integrates with VR Collab and The Wild, among others. Cave is another similar arrangement. It uses stereo glasses to create a 3D illusion. If you have used any of these technologies or apps, why not share your experiences on AEC TechTV?
Very interesting, Aarni. Has VR entered the mainstream yet?
Paul, I think that VR in general is mainstream in certain types of projects, but immersive VR not so much. However, the COVID-19 situation will certainly speed it up. In addition, the technology is becoming easier to use and more affordable, which has been, to my mind, a hurdle in the past.
Who benefits most from immersive VR? Is it clients, designers, or others?
I would say that the first ones to benefit are designers because design today is so complex and there are so many connected data regarding the design phase. But clients, of course, also will be there because they can now understand and better see what the design is all about and how it's going to affect their operations and businesses. But also, I hope to see more and more construction companies collaborate in the virtual environments, because constructability is one of the issues that will certainly have an effect on productivity, for example. And furthermore, let's not forget about safety on the construction side, where VR can certainly add some benefits for the construction companies. So, Paul, what have you been writing about on extranet evolution?
My news focus this week has been on a hard-hitting new report, Good Data for the Public Good, published by the London-based Institution of Engineering and Technology.
The report is available online and has been written in partnership with some of Europe's leading firms of engineers. Its authors are Marius Jablonskis of Norconsult, Catherine Mork of Swaco, Joep Paul of Arup, Neil Thompson of Atkins, Andrew Victory of Arcadis, and Alain Wahar of Buro Happold. The authors talk about challenges facing the global architecture, engineering and construction industry. They talk about population growth, growing urbanisation and climate change. They say an effective industry will deliver and maintain better assets for the public good. The report's title is a deliberate echo of a report published in November 2017 by the UK's National Infrastructure Commission. Data for the Public Good challenged the industry to move towards a national digital twin for infrastructure enabled by secure sharing of high-quality standardised data. And the IET's report's recommendations reflect this push for secure sharing of data. To deliver operational benefits to owners, operators, occupants and users of built data, the report says data must be maintained. We need data that is aligned with asset ownership, and we need data that is perpetually accessible while being securely managed. Wider social, economic and environmental benefits will also be delivered if we have data that is mutualised. That is, it's made open, it's made connected and easily shareable for the public good. Data must also remain accessible over the long term. But why is this report significant? Well, it backs proposals created after the June 2017 Grenfell fire tragedy in London, in which 72 people died. Dame Judith Hackitt's proposals, published in May 2018, included a clear requirement for data for the public good. The requirement for a golden thread of building information is at the heart of proposed improvements. The Hackett Review calls for mandatory digital record keeping covering the life of buildings, and digital records to be non-open, non-proprietary and appropriately secure. And in July, draft UK legislation enacting the recommendations was published. Less controversially, the IET report also supports ongoing industry efforts to achieve greater interoperability of data about our built assets. In the UK, the Construction Innovation Hub has been exploring ways to improve interoperability of building information modelling, or BIM, data. By making it easier to reliably exchange information, the Hub believes industry will achieve faster, more efficient and more reliable decision making. This will be based on trustworthy information supporting the whole life cycle. It also supports golden thread compliance, health and safety and zero carbon requirements. However, such changes will of course require cooperation from the software vendors whose technology supports information exchange. For various historic and commercial reasons, many software vendors have helped perpetuate data silos in the AEC industry. So the authors also say that software vendors may need to change their current business models. The report authors are all members of Autodesk's Engineering Executive Council. They plainly had Autodesk in mind when they wrote about updating business models, and their words echo recent criticisms of Autodesk made by over 100 architects. Architects have been concerned about Autodesk's development of its Revit software, its licensing policies, and its approach to interoperability. By mid-August, 86 named firms from around the world had signed an open letter to Autodesk, and another 32 had supported the letter anonymously. The IET report is not a group of engineers hastily jumping on the architect's bandwagon. I know they began writing the paper over a year ago. However, at least in respect of interoperability, it continues and expands a vital discussion. Vendor approaches to software and to information critically affect how built asset data is created and used for the public good. Socially, environmentally, and economically, it makes sense to help data flow as seamlessly as possible.
Thanks, Paul, for the review. I wonder, because these reports that you're talking about are UK based, but are they also UK focused, or do they probably have any wider impact on the industry?
As I said in my piece, the authors of the IET report come from across Europe, from Scandinavia, mainland Europe, as well as the UK. So they're taking an international stance. Their focus on Autodesk also reflects concerns raised by architects in places like Australasia and South Africa. So certainly this has global implications.
Do you think, Paul, that this is not just one of those reports that are written and forgotten, but will eventually have some impact?
I think the report addresses client needs for long-term use and reuse of data. The assets are used for decades, not just for years. And because the clients at the top of the industry fund the projects, they're in a strong position to dictate the data that they need, not rely upon the industry to provide just what it wants.
Okay, and let's move on. In this show's soapbox slot, Karl Fitzpatrick talks about BIM and FM, facilities management.
Yeah, so I'm Karl Fitzpatrick. I'm a BIM manager for Auckland International Airport in New Zealand. I'm trained as an architect, and I worked in Finland for about 7 years before relocating back to New Zealand to work for the airport there. But for the past 2 years I've been working remotely from Finland, so been in the epicenter of BIM and working back to New Zealand for 2 years. I think there's a clear difference between working on the supply chain side as an architect or an engineer or a contractor, and then delivering that information to the client, and then for using it within facility management space. The use cases are quite different, and the data that's required is maybe not as detailed as what is needed during construction. So there's there needs to be a conversation between the supply chain side of the equation and what the asset owner actually needs. And in a number of situations, the asset owner, they're not using the models and they're just getting archived. So there's a whole lot of value sort of sitting on the shelf, and asset owners aren't fully utilizing that information. Asset owners don't have clear asset requirements or information requirements that they can give to the supply chain and say, this is what we want. So there needs to be the more asset owners need to really work out what they need, and how that information could come from the process, and then to clearly document that and give it to the supply chain and say, this is what we want, and this is the stage at which we need it, and this is why, and it's for this outcome. I think there's too much focus on the output rather than the outcome, and it's just a lot of clients saying, oh, we want a Revit model or we want an ArchiCAD model, and they're specifying the file format rather than the actual data requirements. Fundamentally, it's the space information and the room information, and in a number of models I see there's, that's information is left out because it's maybe not so important for the construction process. So then when the models are handed over after construction, that information can be missing and not documented correctly, whereas the asset owner, they're often concerned with actually renting out space, utilizing space, optimizing it, and understanding what they own so they can then maximize the value of their asset and their building. So it's really fundamentally is getting that information correct, and then from there you can start to add more detailed asset information about the fire safety systems, electrical systems, the wall surfaces, and finishings, and then that can be used for a whole range of uses, such as building warrant of fitness processes, cleaning procurement, space optimization, leasing, and those sorts of things. So there's a whole range of use cases that are also unknown. So it's just having data in a clean format that can then be utilized downstream by the asset owners to unlock some hidden value. I think during the design phase, obviously the architects and the engineers need to work together and own the data, and then the client needs to be checking that through the process to make sure that it's sort of tracking towards what they want. Then at some point there needs to be a clear handover to the contractor, and then during construction that information needs to be maintained, verified, updated, and then handed over to the client with confidence that it's actually accurate. And if there is uncertainty, then that should be flagged out, and then the client should then agree to take over the ownership of the data, or they can then have a third party manage it on their behalf. But there needs to be sort of clear ownership throughout the process, and I think not this one idea that there's one model and everyone just works in it seamlessly with no real common agreement. There needs to be clear agreements about who owns what and when, and what information people are putting in to the models. So we had at one point about 2 billion New Zealand dollars worth of construction or design and construction projects underway, and to be able to supply a model of the existing facility to those parties sort of accelerated the design process and also removed some risk and uncertainty. During the facility phase, it's looking at how we can change cleaning procurement from a time-based thing to a surface-based, and understanding what surfaces can be easily cleaned and what's their life cycle cost, and understanding where things are. From a fire safety perspective, using the models for smoke analysis and sort of virtual simulation to improve or speed up the building warrant of fitness process. There's sort of endless uses. Master planning, so we've created a 4D master plan of our entire campus over the next 20 years, and then we can put that information into a model, and it's much easier to see it and understand what's happening rather than looking at a 8 to 10 page Gantt chart of projects. So it's more like accelerating the understanding of information for people who are looking at it without having to interpret many 2D documents. Key, what I've come across working on the client side, is that there needs to be a separation between the model geometry and the model data, and this isn't going to work unless we can have separate databases for managing the actual asset data, and then the building models are just producing the geometry. There's so much obsession with actually doing it within one tool, and it's actually then places huge requirement on having the right people to put the information in, so you're always double handling information to get it into the model to then republish it back out. So it's more having a database where the whole supply chain, or the whole everyone involved in the asset lifecycle can be involved in that database, and then they're just simply linking that data to the geometry, and the geometry becomes a placeholder just to find the information. So I think that's key going forward, is there's a definite need to have a separate asset database.
All right, and then we move to the AEC Hackathon. Damon Hernandez gave me an interview earlier explaining how they organized the very first virtual AEC Hackathon and how it went.
So my name is Damon Hernandez. I'm based out of San Francisco, California. My focus is on web-based 3D and interactive 3D for enterprise use cases in real-world industries, with a particular focus on the built environment professions as of late. So the first thing about moving online, which was exciting, is that it gave us the opportunity to give people more time than just the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So using this, of course, gave teams the opportunity to develop their projects out further. So that was very exciting for the first time, is to see what could the teams do with more time, and then what was developed. There were challenges, as you can imagine, as someone who's participated in the physical events, you know that there's a certain magic and energy that comes from physically being together. So I think for me and then the other team members, it was, how do we recreate that as best as we can in this digital age? But that's a shared pain of many this year due to COVID. So, but we think it turned out rather successful. well, Zoom has become one of those that's now a verb and a noun and all kinds of things, right? So we decided to stick with Zoom for the communications of the lightning rounds, the team presentations, and then things like that. And then we moved to Slack as a choice of a communication platform for the event where teams could, come together. We made announcements. So we heavily relied on Zoom and Slack. And then for just the usual sign up, we still went with Eventbrite, which has been great. And then what was a little bit different this time than the past, but I think that we'll actually use also for the physical events going forward, was DevPost, which I just want to say that the folks over at DevPost were amazing to work with and getting all set up. The issue with the digital is we can't see what's going on. At the physical events, people come and it's very hard to hide in the corner. You see the engagement that's going on, you feel the energy, you go in and get engaged. And then if you are hiding in the corner, someone comes and finds you and pulls you out and, kind of forces you to get engaged. Where online, it's more difficult to really understand what's going on, right? It's like being at the physical event with a blindfold and earmuffs. So in one way, we were a little bit concerned that folks weren't engaging at all, only to find out that they had created their own teams, their own channels, and there was quite the chatter, right? So if one were to open up all channels and just look, there was quite a lot of action going on with the teams themselves. And then we try to recreate some of that, just everyone coming together through, of course, the lightning rounds and then the team presentations. But then also we opened up for just happy hours. And we had a live stream that just ran for close to 24/7, which was just, nice, chill, relaxing groove while you hack and things like that, that we will do again because, everyone's kind of in isolation right now. And sometimes just to have presence, in a space. And so that was actually kind of neat because there were a few people that would just log into the stream to be there while they worked and just to have someone else there. I think what we learned is that if given the opportunity, a decent amount of people will watch instead of participate. That was an interesting observation, which is very bizarre when you think about the digital format, because what are you watching, right? So that to me was a learning experience. I think just from the organizational side of things, to be quite honest, I was expecting the hackathon to be a lot smaller than what we had. This was the largest hackathon we've ever had with over 300 ticket holders. And I was, to be quite honest, expecting about 40. So that was definitely a learning lesson, is to see, again, just who had the time, right? And I think we're also at a point where everyone's kind of zoomed out. We've all been doing everything through, these online and digital formats. So to see the turnout that we had, given the fatigue, I think, that folks are running through some of these communication platforms, was definitely a learning experience. And then what also was interesting at this time, Aarni, is that we had a higher concentration of people that were at the level. We kind of have these 4 different levels where we have, all the way from, when it comes to technology, coming from built environment professional, are you an expert enough to be dangerous, beginner, or I think I can find the power button. And we had a decent amount of people at the I think I can find the power button level, which is very different than what we normally have at the event. At most of the events, we especially as the years have gone on, we get the more technical savvy individual coming from the built environment professions, right? We have someone who, yes, they are an architect, or they may spend time in Revit predominantly, but they know C# or things like that. And seeing, also the difference being when you give people 2 weeks, it's not quite the same as the weekend hackathon, obviously, right? Whereas, as you know, Folks come in on the Friday night, they do the lightning rounds, and then within a few hours, they have their project, they have their team, and they're moving. Whereas with this, Friday was the kickoff, and then it was quiet the whole weekend. And we were like, whoa, did everybody quit and leave? Or was it something we said? And then it turns out that no, since they had more time, they were giving more time to thinking about the solution that they really wanted to build and things like that. Well, I think when a person has clearly defined what was the problem they were going for, right? And I personally gravitate toward those where they're solving their own problem. I always communicate to people, if you're here to solve a Monday through Friday problem that you have, you're a winner no matter what the judges say. So for me, the best presentations and the best projects are the ones where someone says, I'm solving my own problem. And that, of course, resonates with the judges and others, because it's not like, oh, well, we think this is what a solution is. So from all those, it's definitely that, a team that has a good amount of diversity, right? And not just in skills. Okay, so yes, you have people from built environment professions, you have people from tech, but also what is the makeup of your team? If you're all men, that's going to be different than a team that has a good mixture of other, right? And then that's the nice thing about the ones in Europe, is that they really facilitate international visitors as well, right? So when you see a team that's made up of, men and women, people from all different cultures and backgrounds, the solutions and the teams, it's not a hack, right? You're much closer to a proof of concept that it has a more holistic type solution than just here's these three people that came together, all from the same background, all from the same everything, and here's the solution we built. So that diversity is key also to a team. It is going to be online. The next one is happening October 5th through the 25th. And will definitely reflect some of the lessons learned. So hackaec.com is where we're moving all the online events, just to keep it easy. And we're also, again, taking lessons learned from the first one and then applying that to the next. What's going to be great is I really want to highlight the amazing people that we have in our community, right? There are so many unsung heroes and whatnot. So that we will see at the next event. Something else that will be neat is the next event will be a hybrid event if things go according to plan. So in China, Xavier, who leads that community there, they're actually going to have a physical location event, and we will run that at the same time as this virtual one, and see about kind of like with this past one, right? A lot of the teams were able, because they were all online, to have such a diverse group of people from all around the world. So that will be exciting. So, try to take the lessons learned to the next one and then take the lessons learned from that moving forward. But it does look like we'll at least try to do one, if not two, online events. And as a person who's been to almost every AEC hackathon, that is where I have been fortunate, is to see, how is the global community in the built environment profession solving problems? Where are we solving the same problems? Are we reinventing the wheel? Or where could we say, hey, what this person developed here, we can bring it over here? And I think that the online event is a great opportunity to begin to connect those dots for people that can't physically go to every event.
That was Damon Hernandez talking about running a virtual event. It's a shame that a virtual hackathon can't offer the coffee, pizza, and beers sometimes found at face-to-face hackathons. Next, AEC TechTV aims to showcase construction technology startups. Our first startup is from Austria.
Bimspot is a software development company based in Vienna, Austria, in the middle of Europe, which develops a software as a service platform in the field of building information modeling in the AEC sector. Our CEO, Christoph, and we are both architects. And before we started with Bimspot, we ran a BIM consultant company. We consulted any kind of parties in our industry, from planners to contractors, and as well to the project developer and the project managers. And here we saw a big need for a tool that would enable the owner and the project manager, the developer, to use the BIM data for their purposes. And since BIM gives us the opportunity to better understand our buildings throughout the entire cycle, the driving force here must also lay with the party involved throughout the entire life cycle. And this is the owner in his different roles over the entire cycle. In short, we make it possible for everybody to have access to exactly the data they need for their own use cases in the project. The journey on Bimspot starts with the transformation of the actual goals which we have for each project into clear and transparent requirements for all the model authors. Bimspot then maintains the quality of those models during the entire project progress, and thus manage to take exactly those data available which are needed. Once the data is available in good quality, we are able to further understand, evaluate, monitor this data thanks to a completely new technology we developed. This technology consists out of a unique search function on the entire data and two different visualization features which are interlinked with each other. A model view for visual understanding and a KPI dashboard for a numerical display and monitoring of the respective values available for the specific use cases. I will now give you a short live presentation of our tool. Everything I show you here is accessible for everybody of you guys during a 40 days trial. So just register on bimspot.io and you will have free access to test our platform out. But we are also very happy about feedback, always. Or a short exchange with us, so just get in contact to us at hello@bimspot.io. We're really looking forward hearing from you. But now, off to the platform. As you can see, everything is browser-based on cloud.bimspot.io, and I'm already in our first feature, the visualization part. That means the model view, where you can have a view on all your federated IFC models you uploaded. And here you see already our unique search bar. That means you can filter for any type of information in your models. For example, I'm not just interested in load-bearing elements because I have to check them. I can type in a free text search, load-bearing. There are appearing some suggestions. I'm interested in all elements, so all entities. Click there, apply the filter, and immediately the viewer loads just the models which have a load-bearing property with a yes value. In addition, we have the KPI dashboard I mentioned before, so the numerical part. And here you could really have a look on all the numerical data you have. You can extract it, you can calculate your values, and you can monitor it over the entire process. That means everything here gets automated, updated on each upload. In addition, we have some management tools like a model management where you can set up your own project structure. One of our core, the information requirements based on your use cases. Here you can define which information is needed, what you want to get out of the models, and this is always checked in the information requirement fulfillment, and you have always an overview where you're currently standing in case of your model data, basically. So, thanks everybody for listening to me. I really look forward to hear from you, and I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much.
That was Alexander Grass from Bimspot. Please contact us if you want to feature in our startup slot in future shows. We also hope to run regular items where people walk us through their projects, their construction sites, or their office workplaces. Today, Aarni is going to show us where he works.
Our office is in downtown Helsinki, Finland. We are at Maria 01, one of the leading startup campuses in Europe. This hospital campus dates back to the 1800s. But as the sign says, this is no longer a hospital. In 2016, it became a home to more than 160 organizations, from startups to accelerators, venture funds and others. We're in the yellow building number 3. It is from 1908 and was designed by Lars Sonck, a Finnish architect. We are one of the partners of a built environment digitalization ecosystem space called Urban 3. It is run by CuraHub. The space is totally refurbished. The modern interior design is by Minton Moore. This is what the space looked like in the early 1900s. We have a co-working space, a showroom, a VR corner, a stage, conference spaces, and so on. And our media lab space is where we produce AEC TechTV. This is a meeting place for everyone in the digital built environment ecosystem. If you're in Helsinki, come to enjoy a cup of coffee with us and let's see what we could do together.
That looks to be a really stimulating working environment there, Aarni. How have you adapted to working during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, of course, many people work remotely, but those who are here at our office are actually able to keep distance because, as you saw, we have plenty of room here. And we have also limited organizing events here on the premises and done most of them remotely. So I think that we are doing a pretty good job in that respect.
Thanks, Aarni. AEC TechTV has been designed as a weekly show. We already have some content ready for our next edition, but we really want your ideas and suggestions. And better still, we want your contributions. Looking further ahead, Aarni, what further future events are you looking forward to?
I would like to highlight the World Summit on Digital Built Environment, WDBE, taking place on September 29th and 13th. Virtual WDBE 2020 will use a combination of Epic Games' Unreal Engine and Zone's virtual event platform to transport the attendees in real time to Illusion City, a digital environment inspired by Helsinki and Tallinn. Register for the online event at wdbe.org. And Paul, are there any conferences or other events that you're especially looking forward to?
For a long time, I've supported ThinkBIM events run by Leeds Beckett University in the UK. These have always had a strong online element, so switching to a virtual platform has been really straightforward during the pandemic. The next ThinkBIM is a half-day online conference, and it's scheduled for the 30th of September. I'll share the registration link via our AEC TechTV Twitter feed and other social channels very shortly.
Thanks, Paul. And remember, AEC TechTV really wants your contributions. You can visit our website at aectech.tv, email us at info@aectech.tv, or tweet to us at AEC TechTV with your ideas. We look forward to hearing from you and to sharing your construction technology ideas. But that's all for this edition. Thank you to our contributors, Karl Fitzpatrick, Damon Hernandez, and Alex Grass, and thank you for watching the first AEC Tech TV.